Okay, people. So today I'm joined by Elizabeth Ayiku.
Ayiku.
Ayiku. Awesome. I was just like, I don't know. It was when I did the review, I think I butchered your name. So apologies for that. But then I thought, oh, I might be able to find an interview or something where someone says your name. And I did that. And then my mind went blank.
No
My
worries.
mind went blank and I butchered it again. So apologies.
Ayiku.
But yes, Elizabeth is here because she has a new film, her feature debut, Me Little Me, which is incredible. So Elizabeth, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No worries at all. No worries at all. It's because I think if I'm right, you started out as an editor. That was your first foray into all of this. So
Yeah, kind of, sort of. I started out like a predator. I don't know if they still call it that, but like a producer editor. So
oh, I was gonna say, what, you're in a Schwarzenegger film? Like
um, I it might be a U.S. term. Every time I say it outside, they're like, "Oh, what?" I'm like, I don't know why it's called that. But yeah, I might have to just cut that out. I don't even edit. A producer editor. So like just like I shot and edited everything. Just put like local shows and like things like that. And then my first real I think professional gig was as an editor. So yeah, I started out in the industry as an
right.
editor. Yeah.
Uh, so what was it that drew you to that?
To editing.
Yeah, and just predatoring,
Um, I didn't. Okay, so I pretty much had no direction. Like after I moved to LA, I was always told just accept whatever work you can get. Like don't say you
Yeah.
can't do anything, just do. So yeah, I came up with you got to shoot, you got to edit, you got to know sound, you got to just do it all. So I was just like, okay, so I'm just gonna be this like this person that does whatever, and those were the gigs that were available. When I first moved to LA, I moved to Long Beach. That's my home. That's still where my heart is. That's my home really, but it's not. So I didn't know it's not really LA. It's not Hollywood. Everything outside of the industry, it's one of those things. If you move to LA, you'll know. It's like, oh, that's not really LA. That's Long Beach. But again,
Right.
my heart is. Um, so yeah, I lived there for a while, and those are the only gigs, like live shows. Someone wanted something recorded, someone wanted something edited, weddings, of course. So I was like, okay, yeah, I can do it. I can do it all. Um, and then I went to go work on a cruise ship for 2 years as like a video producer. So again, shooting, editing, everything. And then when I left, I decided to move to Hollywood, and that's when I got my first editing gig, like in yeah, on something you've heard of. You know what I'm saying? Like not just
Yeah.
commercial. So yeah, that I just kind of I fell into it. That was I think the first gig I was offered. They needed either an assistant editor or an assistant camera, and I like took too long to answer. I was like, let me think. He was like, assistant editor. That's okay. Like that's what we need. So there you go. I was like, okay, that'll they chose for me. So then after that, I just yeah, I got I was an assistant editor. Then I got a regular full time editor job, just doing like digital. It was the golden age of digital, like
Right. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
YouTube and all that content. So and then yeah, just you work as hard as you can, and you get asked to do something else, and that's just it just snowballed into oh, I'm an editor now. So.
Like, what was it about editing that kind of drew you as well?
Um, it's just cool. It's I don't know. Someone said it. Oh, I forgot her name. The editor of Mad Max Fury Road, when she won the Academy Award, she said that's where the last rewrite is done in the
Yes.
edits, and it
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
like it's just it's a powerful medium. Like we'll probably talk about this a little bit later, but we like didn't get all the shots we needed. We didn't, and this is and don't. I hope this isn't being like going to be construed as advice, like because that's not good advice. Don't get the shots and just fix it in post. Just edit a little bit. No, but literally the reason I was able to get a full finished film was because my editing background and because I know how to shoot for the edit from all my like time doing run and gun, like shooting. Um, yeah, I was able to just really make what I had work. So editing's cool that way. It's I just um yeah, it's just I don't know, it's almost like magic. I feel.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that I've heard a lot doing this, right? People be like, well, we had the idea for the story, but when we got into the editing room, we realized, there was these things missing and this missing, but we didn't have budget. So I was able to change it and do this and boom, 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 and create what we have. And it's just like, wait, you were able to do that? That's incredible. Like, it always sounds so incredible. Like it's this, like you go into those mirror rooms
Yes.
and it's just like, wait, I thought I looked like this. And then you're like, like that. That's what editing kind of sounds like. That you go in with the idea of something,
Hmm.
but you can come out with this like incredible different animal.
Yeah, it's yeah, shots that I was just I think like test footage, like stuff that we just kind of like shot ahead of time. I was like, oh, I'm gonna put this in the final. It was really cool just seeing what I was able to do,
Mm.
or what I had to do because I was like, oh, we can't get any pickups, we can't get this. Let me see what I
Yeah.
can do with what I have. And yeah, I was able to make it work. So
Uh-huh. Cool. Like, at what point? So you've been working as an editor,
mhm.
you've done producing work and all of this, but at what point were you like, I want to tell my own stories?
Oh wow. I think there was always that in the back of my head. I think that's what drew me to wanting to be a filmmaker. I just didn't know what path I was
Mm.
gonna use to get there. I didn't have a plan. Like I'm gonna work my way up as an editor and become director. I always did want to be someone who was in the room, when the decision making room.
Yeah.
Um, so I think always there was always a sense that I can't wait to tell my story with what I'm learning here. Um, and then yeah, I think around mid 2010s, I was like, okay, I've been doing. It was a while for me. Um, yeah, that I've just been like working on other things, and I was like, I think it might be time because you're always like, oh, I don't have the time. I'm working all the time.
Mm.
But I just had to like do it while it was one of those things where you're not gonna if you keep saying, oh, I don't have the time, you're never gonna do it because there's not. You gotta work. You gotta work for a living. You can't just take a bunch of time off to make a film, which is I don't know why. I guess I thought that's what people did. I thought, oh, I didn't know anything. I was just like, well, I can't wait till I can have like a year off to make a film. And then like kind of reality hit me. I was like, oh, that's not what you do. You just make it. So
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing, right? Because there's no kind of pathway
right.
to this. There's no guidebook. And loads of people have said, like, oh, join my webinar and I'll tell you how to do this. And you'll be like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. And then you're sitting there and be like, okay, well, what's the thing? And they're like, you just need to work hard. And you're like, come on, man. Like, oh, where's the real knowledge? Where's the I work hard right now? Like, come on, give me direction, give me a path. And it's just like, just work hard. Like, go to networking events. And you're like,
Oh, don't if I hear that one more time. Like that's the worst part about being in LA, like to anyone who's local, they know it's the networking, the like shallow socializing.
mm,
It's not gonna get you, I don't know, it's not gonna get you where you need to be going to like networking, going to those yeah, because I did that too. And I was just like, all it did was ask like get people to ask you for free labor. Like they're like, oh, you're an editor, can you edit? I don't tell people I'm an editor anymore. When people are like, what do you do? I'm just like, oh, just, work and sale. Like, it's one of those things, not in this town. It's like, oh, I have a project, and everyone has a project. And
Hmm.
I'm okay with, of course, helping friends out and stories that I really believe in, but it doesn't matter. They'll just, yeah, try to get whatever they can out of you for free.
Yeah.
Um, the first second they meet you. So that's what networking is. And that's okay if you're all just film lovers and have money to just live on and just want to, like, work on little free projects. Like, cool, please do that. I recommend it. But yeah, it wasn't. Um, yeah, I don't. It's really bad advice to me
Yeah.
personally. So,
No, I think it's, as you said, if you've got money, you don't have to worry about that. Fine, do that. But when it's just like, yo, I've got to eat, I've got to pay bills.
yes.
Like, so I can't, like, I remember speaking to someone because I do like marketing and comms,
Okay.
and I think film marketing is terrible a lot of the time. And it's like you hear the budgets that they have. Like there's a lot of films aren't profitable because of the marketing
Oh,
spend. And you
yeah.
look at what they did and you're like, wait, that cost you 2 million?
Oh,
Like,
oh,
what are we, huh? Right. But I was speaking to someone at a studio, and I was like, who I'd done a load of different stuff for.
okay.
And I'm like, yo, I'm not asking for a job. I'm just asking for some advice. And they're like, oh, I mean, you'll just have to work for free for a while. And but that's how I start. And I'm just like,
Yes.
oh, did you?
Ah,
And you want me to work for come on, man. Like, I know there's better advice than that. Like,
yes.
what are we doing?
Ooh, thank you. I know but that's for honestly though, I think just throughout time, right? That has been the model for people who have the privilege. Like
Yeah.
internships, those were always for people who had an
Hmm.
uncle and you know what I'm saying? And like just who gave them an internship, but then they had their parents' money so they could do that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That was never for us. So whenever I hear people saying you just gotta work free, and the kids aren't putting up with it nowadays. Like Gen Z, they ain't working for no free. They have
Mm,
beyond the bills we have to pay. Like even sharing apartments, they're still um, so in over their head with trying to get the rent paid. They can't. So they're just making their own stuff, and like that's kind of the path now that I'm seeing. It's just trial and error and just make your own stuff.
yeah, I think like my friend Daniel, right? He's been making films for a good few years now, and really good films, really good stuff. He's just done this web series, and it's like like yourself, like he edits, he produces, like he's got all the skills, right? And it's just he's been to so many different things and they don't give you any information, so he's just like, I'm gonna make my own stuff.
Oh yeah,
And that's what he's been doing, just making his own stuff. And I think, yeah, like that shows what you can do. You know what I mean? That's your benchmark, that's your kind of playbook you can show people. Because I don't think people, I mean, look at, oh, what's his name? Mark Webb. That's it. Mark Webb was an indie film producer, and Marvel saw his film and got him to make Sony got him to make Amazing Spider-Man.
really? Oh,
Mm.
okay. I didn't know that.
And I think that was the same case for I'm so terrible with names. The dude that just did the last Spider-Man trilogy.
Mhm.
Um, and he's done Skeleton Crew for Lucasfilms.
Oh, okay.
I cannot remember homie's name, but he's filmed those Tom Holland Spider-Man films were incredible.
Oh,
But again, he made, I think, one or maybe two indie joints.
yeah,
Marvel saw that and brought him in. And
yeah.
I'm just like, yo, you do your own thing. Because if you're waiting for someone to come and give you a stack of cash,
No.
you know what I mean? Like that only happens to certain people. and
exactly.
they usually don't look like us.
Exactly. Thank you. That is not for us. When I hear people like trying to give the advice from these circles in Hollywood, I'm like, y'all, like that. No. So yeah, it's thank you for mentioning that. I'm just like, okay, that if you have, yeah, a trust fund in it. So yeah,
Yeah.
your own thing. But I think we'll pick up on what your friend who decided to make his own thing. He said he wasn't getting any information. I'm curious, what kind of information was he looking for in terms of like
I think it's just like information around like potential funding, right?
oh,
How to get funding,
oh,
how to get distribution,
very
you
tech-
know, those kind of things that it feels like people want to hold it tight,
oh, they do.
right? They don't want to share that shit with
Absolutely.
people.
Their whole
And that's the crazy thing.
yeah. Yeah, no, it is. I had to learn a lot, just trial and error myself.
Mm.
Going through distribution now, it's very much, yeah, they don't want to share all the info, like numbers. But no, I'll tell people anything. Like email me, I'll tell you everything. I don't care. I'm just,
Yeah. Well, that's what I feel, right? Because it's like, yo, if we want to open this thing up, you're
yeah,
meant to, once you get to a point on that ladder, you turn around and help the next person. But a lot of people just want to kick the ladder away and be like, well, I'm here. There's no room for anyone else.
I know. And like that's exactly it. Um, and I think also going back to the people who did it the kind of privileged way, they they have good intentions sometimes, but that advice, I was a big fan for a long time. I mentioned this on another podcast, and I'm not knocking him, but you know Robert Rodriguez, right? The
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, Desperado. I read that book, Rebel Without a Crew, and it inspired me. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna do what Robert Rodriguez did, and just like do all the jobs and
Yeah.
do make a movie for this tiny amount of money. And he leaves out so much because he had a support system. He had a whole family. He had a wife that was, like his
Mm.
sister. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh wait, I don't have a partner who's like, you know what I'm like a
Yeah.
house. I've also got to be doing all this while trying to keep a roof over my head. And he leaves that out of the book. And it seems like common sense, but yeah, you can do things like that if you have such a tight knit support system around you and just people who want to work for free. And in towns like ours, people don't. They need to keep roofs over their heads. So it's so hard to do what he did in this day and age. Um, and it took me a while to figure that out. So
Mm.
yeah, I took that advice. And like, of course, I experienced burnout doing 15 out of 20 jobs. So that's left out too. So um,
Yeah.
I just needed to put that out. I mean, good on him, but yeah, it's not when you try to do it. I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't calculate sleep. I'm working overnight, shooting during the day, trying to log footage, edit during the afternoon. It doesn't make sense to try to do.
Mm.
So make your own thing, but have a support system.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I spoke to Tish Arana recently about her short film The Burden,
Oh, okay.
which is, oh, it's so good.
All
It's
right, I
so
gotta
good. And yeah,
yeah,
she kind of spoke of, in similar fashion about, it's hard at times when if you don't have that support system,
okay.
because it's just like, you hear about a lot of filmmakers,
Yeah.
like Judd Apatow and
Mhm.
Kevin Smith and people like that.
Yeah.
But Josh Whedon, like they have a tight knit group around them, which is incredible. It's
Yep.
great, and you can see how in tune they are, how much they dig each other because they keep on working together.
Exactly.
And that enables you to do so much.
So
But yeah, sometimes you don't have that group.
you
So
don't.
it's difficult. It definitely is difficult.
Yeah, I came to LA alone. It's so hard. like the Duplass brothers, all those people who just like came up with like the people they work with. It's different when you're just new, I guess.
Mm.
To the, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I guess I was to yeah, it's different when you're trying to do it all alone. And just don't, just reach out to whoever you can to support you in any way, because that's the one piece of advice no one ever mentioned. And
Yeah.
you know, now it's, again, it sounds like common sense, but if you're someone who's always done everything for yourself, you know, if you're just like, oh, then why shouldn't I do this by myself?
Mm.
You can't.
Yeah. Yes, it is very difficult.
I'm telling you.
Mm. But you know, you're telling stories, right? Which is great. So yeah, you were like, I'm gonna make my own thing. So you start doing some shorts.
Mhm.
And what was kind of the thought when you were making you decided to make some short films? Like, you know, did you kind of think, let me make a comedy, let me make it, or were you just like, well, these are stories that I don't see and I want to go that route? How did you kind of approach all of that?
Yeah, good question. With the shorts that I made, definitely, I definitely, I think I was like, let me just try to make them fun. And so I kind of tried to lean into comedy on a couple of them. And I wasn't really, yeah, there was one about me being in like difficulties of being an editor that I made, you know, that I thought would just relate to other editors. And yes, of course, that one was kind of comedic. But yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. It's like I want to tell stories that I haven't seen. That's always what I think compels me to make anything. And if it happens to be funny, that's cool. Um, so I think for a while, it took me a while to make this feature because it's not a comedy. It's not, you know,
Mm.
lighthearted. It's not, you know, what sells in this town. You know, there's a whole conversation about that. So um, yeah, when I was making shorts, I just thought it was my opportunity to just have fun, I guess.
Right. Okay. So when does it kind of hit you that think it's time to move to the feature?
That was around 2017. That was when I was like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to take time off. Because yeah, I'm an editor, and you try to like work and save. There was no saving money. You know, I was like
Mm.
gig to gig, like, oh man, I'm out of that money already. Okay, like oh, I just use that to live. So I that's when it hit me after all the years of living here that there's not going to be there's not going to be a time. There's not going to be a break, and the cavalry's not coming. No one's going to come and give you a bunch of money. So I was like, let me just do this. Let me see if I can just write this. And I was just fed up of not seeing stories that were what I felt were accurate, that were, you know, not just Black stories, but like us being portrayed accurately.
Mm.
I wasn't seeing it. It was just, yeah, it happened. It's still happening currently. Hollywood's, or I say Hollywood, but you know what I mean? Just like the
Yeah.
industry, just like, look, here you go, Black people. Look at all these Black stories we're making. And I'm just like, who asked for this? It's like, but
Yeah.
that's what they decided to green light because, you know, they think that's what we like. So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I saw, man, and it was crazy. Like John Singleton came to the UK and he screened Boys in the Hood.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, he did a talk afterwards at the BFI. And I think the next year he died,
Oh,
which was just like, I was so glad that I got to see and hear from, because it was so like inspiring. You know, it's one of those talks. But he was talking after he made Boys in the Hood. He was just like, I would go to the studios with all these ideas, and they're just like, we want another Boys in the Hood.
oh,
You
absolutely.
know, right? So he couldn't. make the films that he wanted, and that's why Baby Boy came,
Ah,
because he couldn't get anything else green lit.
wow, that's so interesting. Okay.
Mm,
That makes sense. Oh, that makes so much sense.
yeah.
About Baby Boy. Yeah, yeah, I believe that. I 100% do. Yeah, that's what happens. They want I think it's even worse now because it just goes on numbers and algorithms. They just want what's gonna sell. They don't care about your intimate personal story. Um, that's accurately portrays your yourself and those around you. They want what's gonna
Yeah.
make money. So that's the hard part about this industry and about telling your stories. Um,
Mm,
they're the keepers of who gets to see it.
yeah. That is the thing. But yeah, so you decide to tell, you're frustrated you're not seeing the stories that you want to see.
Yeah.
So when does the acorn of, you know, me little me birth itself?
I think it was something that was always in the back of my head. Because it's based on my life. It's pretty much
Mm,
my life, like 15 years ago when I was living in Long Beach. I gave up on filmmaking for a while, or not gave up, but like I just got a regular 9 to 5 job, just like a regular. I was just like, I can't be freelance, trying to freelance. So I got like a kind of a corporate middle management job. Um, and maybe on the weekend I'd shoot something, but not really. I, so yeah, it was always in my head. Like, I guess I was looking for some semblance of like what I recognized in films
yeah.
that were supposed to be similar. I never saw it. I was just like, and then yeah, around 2017, I was like, okay, I guess it's gonna have to be me who like puts all this out here and tells tells what I know because
Mm,
I'm doing it for so yeah, I think around 2018, I just wrote the script. I think from January to August, January to like end of July, August. I just wrote the script, uh, and just kind of immediately started just moving on to the next steps. I wasn't like, let me shop this around. I was like, nope, let me start fundraising. I'm gonna shoot it myself. Like,
mm.
so yeah, it was pretty quick because I guess for a while I'd been waiting to, being like, oh, well, this is actually how this happened for me. So, uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I had scenes in my head, I guess. Already.
Okay.
Mhm.
Do you think your editing background helped expedite all of that? Because, like I've thought about, I've got a kind of a TV series type of idea of,
Yeah.
something along those. Again, it's kind of like doing something that I don't see, I've
Okay.
never seen, and I've got idea, like I've got a concept of what I would do and all of this, but I've not shot anything.
Okay.
Like my red Daniel, he's just like, write a fucking script, like do something. Stop just talking about it, like
Yeah.
do something. And I'm just like, yo, I'm just trying to find the right time.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? But
It's fun.
it's seeing what that actually looks like. But with you edit, so
Uh-huh.
you know what exactly you need when you're in the room. So do you think that helped move this on because you knew exactly, okay, so I'm going to shoot, this is what I want to shoot, this is how I'm going to do it, this is because I need this and this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think my background as my producing background, my field producing background as well. I did that for a while. It was just because I shoot for the edit, and I didn't even
Mm,
realize it. Now that you're saying I write for the edit too, so I didn't write in stuff that I couldn't get. I didn't write.
yes.
You know what I'm saying? I have a concept for another script that I've been putting off because won't have access to. There's things. So yeah, when I wrote this one, I 100% even yeah the way I write cut to like I guess a lot of people don't put cut to, but anymore they'll just put like off someone's look, and I'm just like, what? No, you cut to this. So
Mm,
like so I write it the way I'm gonna edit it 100%.
mm.
Um, so and I think that's something you should know about. Like you can write, I don't know, you can write your script however you want. Like write it in prose form, write it like a book, and just like um format it after.
Yeah.
That like that's something I didn't have screenwriting software for a long time, so I was just like, "Oh, I can't do it. I don't have Final Draft." But that's not, you don't read it however. And so, yeah, I wrote mine as an editor. I I knew what locations I had in mind. You know what I'm saying? And we shot in my old town of Long Beach, and the people are just so damn cool. Like, it's different than the valley where I live. It's so different. And yeah, so we went back, and thank goodness it all worked out because even when we had to pivot and like a location fell through like next door, I was like, can we shoot here instead? They're just like, oh, okay, cool. Just we open soon, so can you clear out by this time? I was like, yep, we can do that. So yeah, that's just kind of how it worked out. Worked really great.
Awesome. That's really good.
Yeah.
Like when you were, putting all of this together, was it always a feature film?
Yes.
Like, so there was no thought of, I'll do a documentary about what I went through and all of
Yeah.
but you're just like feature.
Feature. Yeah. No, I didn't want to I didn't. Part of the reason why I wanted it to be a slice of life film is because people don't want to be preached to. People don't want to be, and I feel like that's already a perception of documentaries. It's like,
Mm.
oh, wait, I'm going to be, watching a school. I'm going to be, watching something like I would in school. I'm going to be preached at. So yeah, I didn't want it to be like that. I wanted it to be something that people could just see themselves in. So yeah, it was always a feature. It was always just like, this is going to be this woman's life that you're just taking a look into. So
Right. Okay. Yeah. So, because I watched the film today,
mhm.
and like it's a funny thing because it's hard to say, and I will quantify what I'm saying.
Okay, so
About to say, right? Because I'm gonna say it's hard to say I enjoyed it, right?
oh,
And no. It's great,
okay.
right? But it's like Uncut Gems. Like
Oh
that's a
wow.
tremendous film, but it's hard to say you enjoy it because you're so friggin' anxious all the way
Oh yeah,
through.
I get what you're saying.
You
Oh
know what I mean? And
yeah,
with this, it's like you it's kind of crazy because it feels so intimate,
yeah,
and you feel so much. It's like we're sitting on Maya's shoulder sometimes, like we're really in it.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like with all the stuff that's happening to her and the trouble and just and you can see the unraveling. And so you're feeling like tense,
Yeah,
right? You're just feeling like, oh god damn it. And like you're waiting for the revelation of the thing that kind of is sitting back there, that trauma,
yeah.
right? That has kind of exacerbated everything. So you're just thinking about this and you're saying, and so you're just like, but it's just so well done. And man, it's like Akia Dasia Williams.
Yeah, Dacia Williams, yeah.
Oh my days.
And
Yo,
yeah.
you landed something incredible with her. Just she does such a tremendous job
I
because
mean,
it's conveying there's so much nuance here.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And I think that's the thing. It's like a lot of times with films, you've got the good guy, the bad guy, right? The people you're meant to love, the people you're meant to hate. You have all of this. And this is so gray. You know what I mean? And that's why it's great, because it feels real. It feels like reality,
Yeah.
because everyone is just kind of blurred, right? And without giving too much away,
Yeah.
I love what you did with her boss,
Oh, thank you. Thank you for recognizing that. Oh,
because it's like, because I think a lot of times we're kind of watching it through Maya's eyes.
yes.
I mean, this is how I interpret it. I'm being like telling you what the film is. So yeah, so this is what you did, right? No, but I kind of interpret it like we're watching a lot of the events and things through Maya's eyes.
Mhm.
So when there's this friction, it's the how she's perceiving it. But it's one of those things where no one knows what your triggers are. No one knows what your struggle is. No one knows what you're going through
Yeah.
unless you say.
Same.
So no one can accommodate you or help you if they have no clue about what's going down.
Yeah.
And that was the thing I love,
Oh,
because we see that journey. Because I want to say it, but I can't say it. But
thank you. There
I'm
was a
gonna
review
say
like
that, and I
that.
feel you know what I mean,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Thank you. And I love so much what you said because I didn't want there to be like someone who's just like a villain, a clear villain. It's funny because a lot of people came up to me and said there were multiple like villains, but they're just people, you know?
Mm,
And um I think in real life, no one's all good and all bad, you know, or you know what I'm saying? People
yeah.
just and yeah, in the early stages of writing the script, I sent a draft to a friend of mine that I used to work with, like big film, and he was just like, I think a lot of the guys, he's like, I kind of agree with the boss, you know, like that's yeah, interesting. Um, and the scene in the hotel, you know, where she asks to go, he was just like, yeah, you can't do that, and I was like, yeah, that's how it looks. But yeah, that's real life, you know, it's yeah, that's a weird thing she asked for. So, I wanted to put it all in, yeah, and without anyone just being over the top, you know, I didn't want him to be like this over the top villain. I just wanted him to
Yeah.
be that's who we work with. That's who in every corporate middle managed mid job I've had. There's someone like that who's just like numbers, listening, but not really
Mhm.
listening. Like, okay, what's next? Like, I don't have time for any of your jokes or whatever.
Yeah.
You know? And that's just kind of yeah, how I wanted to portray him. But yeah, he's still a real person. He's not just like I don't know.
Mm. But yeah, that was really interesting,
Thank you.
right? Just watching that arc, like watching that nuance.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Nah, that's the thing. It was just so the film was just so compelling,
Mm,
right? Because we don't kind of get like at the beginning, you don't get Maya's got an eating disorder,
right.
but you're watching her and you can see this like formulaic behavior,
Very
right? This routine, it's pattern based. You've got these notes around the place. You
yeah,
know what I mean? It's just like everything is neat, everything is tidy. It's just like boom, 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 boom.
yeah.
So you get a vibe of, okay, right? This is coping mechanisms, but what is she
What's
coping
she coping with?
for?
Yeah.
So it's that. But the another thing, and I think, you know, well, you said you didn't want to make a documentary. I think with the whole, I don't know what, like the therapy, I don't know what you would
Yeah, yeah.
call it,
Oh, yeah.
but I've never seen that before.
Oh,
I've never like you see people like there's been films about you know eating with a character with an eating disorder,
yeah.
but like they might do traditional therapy.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like I've never seen the oh my god, I can't think of the word. I've done a lot of work around obesity and stuff like that, and there's terms that we use for the things that you put in place to help, and I can't think of what it was, but I've never seen that whole kind of right. So what are your snacks, and this is how we're going to do it, and we're going to all sit and eat together. I've never ever seen that. So that was just so intriguing, and it made so much sense.
Yeah, it's because that's not portrayed, but like that's what I'm talking about. Like whenever there's a movie about treatment, it's and there was a kind of a one that year that made me snap and be like, no, no more of this. The person, of course, a thin white privileged woman went to treatment, checked in, didn't no job, like you know what I'm saying? Just like, and it's so expensive to be in those treatment places. So no talk of how this is paid for. I mean, obviously her privileged family, but yeah, there was no actual treatment happening. I was just like, of course they just danced and like around the room, and I was like, what is this? And then she just, yeah, it was just like I get it now. At the end, I mean, it. We'll talk off camera. So yeah, I was like, no, it is so much work. It is like having a job and then a full-time job. So Maya in this film, she's in outpatient. So that's intensive outpatient therapy, IOP, we call it. So yeah, you're there like 4.5 hours a day after work or after school or whatever. And yeah, you have a meal, snack, you have sessions with a therapist, a dietitian, you learn coping mechanisms, you learn how to regulate your emotions, you learn CBT, DBT. It's so much work and it's constant. And I was just annoyed that they never showed that part in film and TV, because I don't think anyone who's ever been close enough to it are the ones who are green lighting the projects, are the ones who are deciding, yep, this is good enough, you know, who are like, this is perfect, you know. They haven't been, they don't know. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up, that you haven't seen the actual process. I wanted that to be highlighted, and yeah, without just over explaining, I just wanted to show rather than tell. So
yeah, well, I think, you know, you get it once you see all of this, and you know, you understand what's going on, right? I think it's all clear, and I think there's also that bit when she's like, where's someone's not there.
Yeah.
And then the girl's like, oh, his insurance isn't covering it. So it like highlights all of that kind of stuff, you know, without having to go on this whole, you know, thing of like someone being like, oh, this is this and this is this and blah, blah, blah.
No, and that's how it is though. It's like, so you'll have like someone who's like almost your best friend, and then the next day they're gone because they have no money. They kick you out immediately. Like it's not, yeah, I talked about it on another podcast. It's not the whole, and I'm talking about for substance, all of these treatment centers, they're not so much. You'd think they're about really helping people. They're businesses.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? So the second you do not have money, you're out on the street. It's not even like, and here are some follow-up resources, here are some things. Yeah. So I definitely, without, you know, getting on my high horse too much, I wanted that to be portrayed as well.
Well, you know, I think that's the thing though, is when you see this stuff oftentimes in films, right? So, as you said, you don't really see the treatment. You just see them getting some sage advice from the janitor or someone like that. And then in a week or so, they're fixed and they're out, right? Or they've run out of money and the place is like, but we really like you, so we're going to let you stay.
No, they won't let you stay for no free. Those places are owned by venture capitalists. It's ridiculous. I found out so much, like trying to get money to make this film. It was ridiculous. Like people who own these places, that's the whole thing about fundraising. I was like, we have some money to make this, you know, this movie, and they were just like, oh, we don't do that, you know. Yeah. So no, it's it's not like what I've seen on TV or films. But
Yeah.
so
Like, was there any hesitance about like showing everything that you showed though? Like, because maybe people don't want to see it, so you're not going to get it funded or distributed or anything like that.
um no, it's so interesting. When I wrote it, shot it, everything, I had no hesitations until it got into the edit suite and it was in front of my face. And I was like, oh no, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done this. But it was too late. It was too late. I was just like, okay. Oh, it was so hard to get through to cut some of the scenes. Like there's multiple scenes that I just had such a hard time editing. Um, because it was real, like being just reflected back to me. And I was just like, oh, why am I? It was torture. It was just. But of course, I had the money to hire another editor. I had to do it myself.
Mm,
So there was hesitation in the edit suite when it started getting real, honestly. And so I don't know if that was just me being naive, being like, oh yeah, just the wanting to get it out, the real story about treatment out there, it outweighed anything else I was thinking at the time when I wrote it, when I started casting, when I started fundraising. Um, yeah, I didn't have a hesitation in my bones until I started looking at the footage and putting it together. I was like,
mm.
I actually have to put this out.
Like, because it is kind of based on your own life, your own experience.
Yeah.
Were there things in this, like you said, like in the editing, it became real. Like, were there things that you were just like, I can't show that, or and I should make a phone call before this goes out and talk to people and let them know?
Should have. I probably should have. I don't know, but I didn't. I didn't do any of that. I didn't care. I didn't care. I was just so like, this is my story. As I experienced it, and you know, yeah, I don't know if this is true, but I heard somewhere that someone said a piece of advice is like write as if everyone you know is dead, not dead, or just not, or won't see it, like something
Yeah.
like that. And that was kind of how I was going about it. I was like, I don't care who sees it. I don't care who in my life, you know, um, has an opinion. I was just so wanting to get this out of my head and on screen. So no, I didn't call anyone. I'm trying to think, was there anything that I was like, this shouldn't go in here? Um, no. I mean, there was this series of event, like the sequence that things happened. It's not necessarily sequential. Like things happened, what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So yeah, in that sense, I had to put a cohesive story together instead of changing timelines. But no, in terms of just like, oh, I should not say this. No, everything. It was no holds barred. Which I guess why it's so uncomfortable and like anxious to watch.
Yeah. Man, I think it's because you get it, right? I think you can understand the struggle, right? And just when you've come up against different barriers and things, like even though you might not have lived what Maya's lived,
Right.
you can get it.
Hmm.
So I think that's a big thing about this. So all of these different things, like going to a family event and not necessarily wanting to be there, right? Just all of those type of things, and it's just like so all of that, yeah, right. The relationship with the mom
Yeah, that's
is, what I mean, is there. That's not, I think, explicitly voiced, but I
right.
think you can make an assumption of what may have happened. which then makes it just like even worse
Mhm.
in a way.
Yeah.
And so you have this whole dilemma about like, you know, Maya and her sister. And it's be like, I mean, I get what the sister's saying, but if the thing that happened is what I think it might have happened, there's no forgiveness on that shit. You know?
We got into a whole thing on set where it's like where different actors were taking different sides, and I was like, what? And of course, Akia, we're on the same side. Like, we are Maya over here. We are Team Maya. Don't tell us about no nothing, you know.
Yeah.
So, oh, oh yeah. No, don't get me started. There was yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm watching, I'm thinking like the sister seems sweet. The sister seems nice. She's trying to help Maya, but then you know, she's just like, but I chose to forgive. I'm like, are you crazy? What's wrong with you? There's certain shit that you can't forgive.
There's so many, Kevin. There are so many like self-help books. Oh, but people who are like, forgiveness is for you. It's not for
Yeah.
the other person. So they're like, that is the way. And if you're not forgiving, if you're not, you're just hurting yourself. And there's so many people who live and die by that. And and now it's more common for people to be no contact with their parents. You know, it's when I was coming up in my 20s, they're like, what do you mean you don't talk to your like, you know,
Mm,
especially being Black, you know, they're like, what? We don't, that's not for, you know.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I didn't care. I had to put it all in there. I didn't, and yeah, again, I didn't call nobody. We'll
Mm.
see what happens. I'll have to tell you what the fallout is. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I wasn't thinking about it at the time.
Like I the way I feel about things like this though is if you're telling the truth on everything that's happened, no one can say shit. You know what I mean? Because it's just like if it's like if I say I robbed you,
Right.
right? And then you go out and you've been like, yo, Kevin robbed me. And then I call you up and be like, hey, what are you doing? Why are you bad mouthing me all over the place? It's just like, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
robbed you. I
But
can't
yeah.
talk.
Oh, I like that analogy. Right. But yeah, but exactly. I mean, yeah. I'm telling what I know. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it's like it yeah, the story is just it, like it really stays with you.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like you're thinking about it afterwards. And I think because like we don't have this clean open. You know what I mean? Like when I say clean open, I'm like, you know, wake up, be like, hi, I'm Maya. This is my life. You
yeah.
know what I mean? We don't have that kind of clean open that some things like to do. And we don't have that, you know what I mean, definitive ending.
Right. Oh no. Yeah.
You know, so as you said, it's like that slice of life film, and I love those films.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? And it's just
That's
when it tells a story and isn't trying to wrap it in a bow, right? Because you a lot of the times, as I said, at the end of this, like they go into therapy and then they're fixed and everything is perfect, and you're just like, I swear they were just in there for a week.
exactly. We're like,
So how are
exactly.
they fixed? Like, how is this all resolved? Like, there was no, you know what I mean, actual conversation about something. So
Right.
what is everyone just pushed everything under the carpet? Like no one's talking. No one's like, how is this all done?
Yep.
This is a happy ever after. Like, how are we there?
I,
You know?
I'm
So
telling
with this, we end in a place of it's kind of it's not the end
you. No,
of her story. It's kind of like it's the start of a new chapter.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
that's why I feel it's so compelling because it's just like, oh, I wonder how things will be get navigated from here.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's life. You know what I'm saying? It's like I wanted it to be very. It was very indie that way. You know, where because I did
Mm.
have some notes where yeah they wanted resolution. They wanted to know. They're like, no, you need to call back to this and what about this resolution? And I was just like, there was none. You know, there.
Yeah.
That's just you know in real
I,
life.
I I think the interesting thing though is when you listen to a lot of people talking about this is how you tell a story,
Yes,
this isn't how you end it. Right? It's they always talk about you start like this and you end definitively like this.
yes. Oh, there. Yeah, I've heard a lot of that. Like this
Yeah.
structure. Um,
Hmm.
if you deviate what someone based their whole review on my movie about well, it was very because yeah I recognized it from film school. They're like the story, all the I guess the surrounding characters, all the different parts of Maya's life, they didn't all come together in the end, and that's why they didn't like the movie. And I was just like, yeah, she kept them separate, you know, like
But
it's
when does everything come together?
I don't know. That's a film. That's a filmmaking. That's a film school thing. I think I remember like hearing that. Like you gotta. It's for like a. I think more for like multiple narrative. Like when you have, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very interesting. As soon as I read it, I was like, oh, that's someone straight out of film school. That's someone straight. I was. I was. It was disjointed. It didn't all. You know. And I was just like, yep, that's how life is. It doesn't all come together. um. So I mean, yeah, it's not going to be for everyone. It's not. It's some people they like that. They like what's familiar in film. So, um,
Mm.
yeah.
But it's funny because also today I watched oh,
Kevin, hold 1 second. I've got to close my window. Sorry.
oh yeah,
Cut
no worries.
this out.
It was a Netflix Christmas film.
Oh,
Oh, it was I hated it.
oh, really? I don't even know what's on.
It was Meet Me Next Christmas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it had Christina Milian in it.
Oh, okay.
And like technically, right? If you like Christmas
I
films,
was gonna say that's its own genre, though, right?
yeah, you will like this film.
That's who that's
You know what I mean? It's the production is good and everything like that. It's just it's one of those stories that I feel makes no sense.
Oh, darn.
You know what I mean? And but it's got this neat beginning and this neat ending, and you know what I mean? Like people are doing things, and you're just like, wait, that doesn't happen in real life.
Yes.
Like no one talks like that. No one does that. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Right? And people love those films,
People
right?
like
Which is fine.
yeah.
But I think what I enjoy is something that has a semblance of real life in it,
Me too.
you know? So that's why something like Me Little Me can really resonate because you know those people, right? You know that situation. You've kind of, you know what I mean? You've seen that thing.
Yep. Yeah, I thank you. Yeah, I always like there to be, even if it's just like a mindless kind of escapism movie, I want there to be some semblance of reality. So
Mm.
I don't. Yeah, if it's not how people talk, how people actually move in real life, I'll not. I'll stop watching it because yeah, what are we doing? What are we?
Yeah, yeah. Like there's it like she meets this guy, right, in the airport and they talk for a couple of hours.
Mhm.
And then it's just like, oh, I think I've met the person of my dreams. And it's not like, look, I would buy it if they're like, I had a great conversation with this person. Like I felt there could be potential there, but I don't know. I'd need to talk to them more. If you broke it like that, I'm
Yeah,
like, yo, that I buy that. I'm down with that. But it's always, you know what I mean? That person is the person. And then obviously they meet someone else and like, this is the person. But I'm like,
N-
how fickle are you? Like, what's your criteria? This
Yeah,
makes no sense. You know?
real life. Oh no. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the crazy thing with storytelling. But and it's the beauty of storytelling because also there's something for everyone. You know, like whatever you're looking for, you can find it.
Exactly. Like I said, yeah, that's some people's genre. Like Christmas movies, like Hallmark. Yeah, like that's what they want. So they want that non.
Yeah, it really is, but it's crazy. But I think when you were telling, this story,
Yes.
and it is, as I said, there's no, you know, safe beginning and safe ending, and that, like when you're in the editing booth and you're looking at everything now,
Yeah.
was there thought of, can this work in this context?
Um, can it work? I mean, in terms of
Like will people, you know, vibe with it
oh
because it's not this neat little thing.
yeah. No, I knew people in my circle would be okay with it. I because we were all talking about that's kind of how that's what we wanted to see in movies. So I knew people that I was in treatment with would vibe that. I didn't know. Yeah, in terms of anyone outside of like the recovery world, I wasn't entirely sure until I started getting some feedback from just like rough cuts. I was just
Mm,
um and then when we got to when we got to South by Southwest and some other just like really good film festivals, people were like white dudes were just like, "Oh, that was great." Like they were just like, because I didn't even think about it, but also, yeah, it's one white dude who was doing the Q&A. He was just, I guess, he's sober, so he was in AA. But and other people with just like substance, they were like, "Oh my gosh," he was like, "This is the best movie I've ever seen." And I was just like, "Oh wow," I didn't even think that it would resonate
mm,
with other people
yeah.
who had gone through, recovery for substance um, yeah, and just yeah, it didn't even occur to me, and that's when I think during the festival circuit, when just random people were like, "Oh my gosh, this is like I see myself in this." I was like, "Oh, cool! I'm glad that I included everything. Didn't make it just about one
Mm.
thing and included as many little things as I can." Oh, my earrings. Sorry, the kids. You can edit that out. Yeah. Um,
Like
uh,
you,
so that's
but you just skipped over something.
what's that?
You skipped over something huge right there because you premiered at South by
Oh
Southwest.
yes, that was. Oh my gosh.
Like
Yeah,
that's insane.
that's insane.
Like your first feature directorial, and you're at South by Southwest. Like
I forget.
how? Like how does that happen? And what were the emotions when you get that confirmation?
Well, it was. Oh my gosh, it was. I still forget. Yeah, even as you're like, I still forget. I'm like, oh yeah, that really happened. I'm just saying it. Like, it's just a regular. Yeah, we submitted a work in progress. Literally, I was just like, because I was so behind on my editing because everything was taking me forever. But I was like, look, if I don't submit at least and I wasn't gonna submit. I was like, well, I didn't finish, so I'm not gonna submit. Like, darn. But then I was like, you know what? Let me just submit. I'm not gonna get in, but at least I can say I did it. At least I can say to those people who are like, well, you should have just submitted a work in progress. That's the advice everyone gives. Submit a work in progress. Submit this, and I'm just like, what? But I had the actual story locked,
Right.
but sound was not mixed, color was not done. I just kind of threw some grain on it for color because I did have a look. I did a quick sound pass, but someone else who was reviewing like films at South by Southwest kind of tore us apart for our sound because yeah, but South by Southwest were so supportive. They were just like when I got the acceptance, they were just like it was just a great story, and when I was at the Q&A, I could hear all the mistakes, like in the
Yeah.
Dolby theater. I was like, ah! I was just like, I want to run and hide. And the guy doing the interview, he was like, real film fans like don't care about stuff like that. Like they don't care. Like they were so cool. They are filmmakers. They're like through and through. Like those are my people. Like it's not snobby like like some of the bigger, mainstream festivals. It really is like, oh, and they had like Richard Linklater came and talked to us. Like we had a luncheon. It was just so cool. And
Shit.
it reminded me of like the era I grew up in, and like they're still trying to keep that alive. And I didn't even know that they were still. I just assumed they'd gone mainstream like all the other ones, but I wanted to do it because back in the day I enjoyed some films from South by. So yeah, they were so supportive and just like it's just a good movie. Like, well, who cares about the thing isn't finished? And I was like, oh, thank you. Like, they put me at ease, and we're just embraced us. So yeah, it was yeah, it was very surreal. It was very surreal being there. And still now I've got to like shake myself and be like, oh my gosh, that happens. That, yeah, I don't even know. But I guess I do need to pass on the advice, submit a work in progress. Like who knew? You know what I'm saying? Like if you need to add elements, like if you still need to add scenes, don't submit a work in progress. They won't accept it. But
Yeah.
if you're picture locked, submit to everything and say, because I put a card at the beginning saying color and sound, not final, but picture locked. And they were like, okay. So
Yeah, I've watched there was, I think it was an animated thing that was I forget what festival, and there was some things that they hadn't quite finished in that. And then there was a TV series that actually I think AJ sorted that one out as
really?
well. And yeah, so they'd completed, I think, the first 3 episodes, and then so they were releasing 2 parts, and the second lot of episodes they sent to me, but there were some bits that they hadn't finished, but you knew what they were doing. So I think when you're reviewing it, you don't be like, well, the sound was terrible in episode 4, and because you understand what they've done, and they were kind enough to send you the work.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you talk about the story rather than, well, that was missing and that was it, you know?
Reviewer, I mean, that's a good lesson too, because I think this reviewer is one of a handful of people that reached out for a screener, and I was scrambling like crazy to get a DCP made, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't hand out this unfinished screener. I'm just like I can't get back to any of these people. But I guess this person still watched it. South by Southwest was doing like hybrid, so I think they still watched it like online, not in person.
Yeah.
So I guess they didn't know or didn't care that it was a work in progress. The sound wasn't final, but yeah, that's just like one thing they kind of zeroed in on, and were like, this took me out of the film, and I was just like, really, like the whole film, you couldn't concentrate because the sound wasn't leveled. He was like, people's mics were a different level. So I'm like, okay, so if you're an audiophile and like, don't watch a work in progress because it's, but yeah, you're right. Like if you get what the person's doing, you're not going to be zeroing in on that stuff. And that's what they told me at South. And that's why they programmed us at South by Southwest. I'm keeping this earring off because if it falls off one more time. Yeah, and that's what they told us. And I am just they're still like they invite me if they're doing a get together in Los Angeles, they're just like, come through. I'm like, oh, these are my people. I love them so much.
Man, I have to say that is so great to hear, because I think that's the thing. Sometimes some film festivals, they're a little stush.
Very.
Right? They're a little, like, I remember I applied to, like, I covered Rain Dance during the pandemic when it was they brought it over here, right? So I did the London thing, and the first year I did it, and then I applied the next year, and they're like, you don't have enough YouTube followers, so
Oh,
you're not.
knobs.
We ain't giving you access. And I was like, what the fuck, man? That's so crazy.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I expected from the festival, especially South. I don't know. And there are some that are still like that. But yeah, because we didn't have a name, like, even going through distribution and whatever now, it's like, oh, there's no name. Someone
Mm.
wrote us back, yeah, for like, oh, congrats on South by Southwest. Can you send us, a screener? I'd say, sound and color aren't done. We're finishing it now. And they'd be like, yeah, it's good, but there's no name. And it's just it was annoying. I was
Yeah.
like, all right, thank you. I didn't ask for why you just say no,
But I feel like those things are so dumb, right? Because
Very.
look at Madam Web.
Yes.
There are a lot of big names in that film, and that film stunk, right? That film was
So
not great.
exactly. And that's a lot of big budget film.
Yeah.
But that's what they're not going by. I don't even know if they go by story anymore. They just go by who has the followers, who has the names.
Well, yeah, because there's films that have been sent to me, and sometimes in the blurb, it's like this person has 60,000 followers on Instagram, and this person's TikTok is, they trended like all of last year, and you're just like,
so annoying. I don't
tell me the story.
Tell me why. What is the movie about? Let's
Yeah.
I'm
It's like I really enjoyed this film, right? John Carter. It came out. When did it come out? I think it's like 2017, maybe. It's like Edgar Rice Burroughs wrote these books about this guy John Carter.
Okay.
It was like John Carter from on Mars, something like that.
Whoa.
And they're pulpy because I think they were from like the 50s. They're these pulpy kind of action sci-fi books, and I enjoyed them. And so they made it was like 20th Century Fox, and they made this film, and it didn't do well at all.
Oh, okay.
But when you actually the film itself is good. I enjoyed the film.
Yeah.
The marketing of the film was complete and utter nonsense.
Oh, interesting.
Like they didn't talk about the story. They didn't let people know what it was.
Okay.
And I think that's the big issue a lot of the times, right? They're banking on a star because they don't know how to talk about things.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's their little cheat code. We'll just say Brad Pitt's in it, and that will bring people in, rather than be like, this is a complex story that deals with this and this and this, right? You tell people that, because I don't think people necessarily care if it's got these big people in, but they just like, what's the story like? What is this? Oh, it's a noir. I love noirs. Yeah, tell me more. You know what I mean? Like they're the things that will draw people. So, man, it's frustrating to hear that people are like, there's no star. What are we gonna do with this? That's so dark.
No, that's how it is still, unfortunately.
Mm.
I just want to pause 1 second. I'm actually on an editing gig right now, and I only have maybe 10 or so more minutes. I just looked at these and whatnot. Oh my.
Like I think it is that like the big part with this is like a lot of times the conversation is just going, and then someone might be like, I've got to pick my kids up. Like, oh yeah, shit, sorry, yeah, we can go, we can end it now. That's fine.
I'm like, oh no, over, so.
No, but it's always just interesting hearing the process and what some people gone through to bring something to life. One thing before we do go that I did want to like touch upon is you premiered in 2022.
Yes.
So what was that like? Because you premiered in 2022, but then you're not able to get the film out. So like we're just about to drop,
Oh,
right? And it's 2024. So what was that like for you, like emotionally,
oh,
like
agonizing.
all
It was agonizing. Like we got offered a lot of really predatory distribution deals because that is one thing. You know how I said, oh yeah, just submit your work in progress. Maybe I don't know because we got into a big film festival, but then the people they were ready to buy were like, oh, it's not ready, or they were just like they don't know what you can do, with it.
yeah.
So we just got really lowball bad offers or some offers I didn't even know existed. Like, oh, you pay us and we'll distribute the movie out.
Oh damn.
And I was like, absolutely not. So it took so long, like another year of just trying to, and then of course, um, it took like a year to like fix the sound and color, but then it still wasn't good enough. Like I found like there were little things that went wrong in that process, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh no, it needed like another 4 months. So before I sent it out again, it was like another year and a half. So and then we had to navigate like the distribution deals we were offered after. But yeah, that whole like 18 months or so after South by where I was trying to get it in like locked good condition to because yeah, I was like, okay, we can go with the first sound and color pass. But I don't know, me being that's not who I am. Like you know what I'm saying? I could have
Mm.
just went with it and been like, yeah, this is all the money we had. But I was like, nope, I gotta get some more money together, and that's gonna take another 6 months. So um yeah, it was agonizing though. People were like, "Is your film coming out? Like, when can we see it?" Like, casts were like, "Can I get the film? Can I get the footage?" I was like, "It's not done." They're like, "What?" So yeah, I know it sounds like it makes no sense. What do you mean it's not done? It was at like all these film festivals, and I was like, "Oh, they're showing the work in progress." So it was agony. It was, and yeah, and finally when we got the deal, a fair deal, the cast, the lead, she was like, "Thank you for not giving up." Like, because there's some movies, especially Black movies, some that just don't come out,
Yeah.
like that just don't get finished. And I was determined. I was like, no. I was just like, no, we're not just these like the cast, the crew, everyone gave too much. Like, if it was just me, I don't know if I would have given up. Like, there were times where I wanted to, but I was like, nah, these folks gave too much, so we're gonna get this done. So,
Mm. Well, no, that's great. I mean, I'm glad that you stuck to your guns, that you got everything done because,
thank you so
yeah,
much.
no, as I say, it just sticks with you, man. This film sticks with you, and you're just, just thinking about everything that went down. The situations Maya finds herself in, right? Like that whole bit of going to the bar, like putting on the earrings and
Um,
then getting frustrated. And you're kind of like, I get your frustration, but also it's not homie's fault either.
yeah. Like the actor. Just a quick story. The actor that played the bartender, Jared, he was like, while we were going through that, he's like, "Oh my gosh, like this is me. Like this is my. I've done this. Like I've just been busy and like totally blew someone off. Like what? Like
Mm.
you could see in his face. He's like, "Oh my gosh, like I didn't even realize this is how it looks." I was just like, "Yeah," and it's not. Yeah, exactly. It's like she went there with this expectation, with this, this is how the night's gonna go. I'm gonna put on my hoops. I'm gonna, and then it just didn't happen, and her whole, like
Mm.
everything kind of just like fell apart in her head at least. That's
Yeah.
she was like, "Oh, like it wasn't the same as last time. It was what happened." It was
Mm.
yeah. So and then of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah, but so all of that, it just works. It works so well. So, hey,
Oh,
congratulations. Congratulations on a great film.
thank you. Oh, I so appreciate it. So, I mean, yeah, everything you said means so much to me. Even when you compared it to Uncut Gems, I'm like, what? Because that's a good one. The editing was so frenetic, but it works so well that's
Mm.
I was like, oh my gosh, you can edit like this, and it
Yeah.
works, And
Oh, and
yeah,
that ending.
the ending,
Oh
that
my
movie's kind of
day.
an inspiration
Oh
to
boy.
yeah, films that I want to. I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's definitely an OG indie film. Like, structure,
Yeah.
definitely. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
How can people keep track of everything you're doing?
Oh, so our website, the official film website, melittlemefilm.com. That's the best place because yeah, you, it shows where the film is going to be streaming. So we're we're releasing. We're going to be on for sale and rental on Apple and Amazon Prime, and then in a month on some other streaming platforms. So I'll be updating everything, and
Cool.
on Instagram, Me Little Me Film, like at Me Little Me Film
Yeah.
is, I'll be updating that as well. So yeah, just that's the best place.
Okay.
Info.
And yourself? You know what
Oh,
I mean?
oh my God.
Gotta promote you
Oh,
too,
yeah.
Elizabeth.
I don't have nothing going. I mean, I'm just working. You can follow me on Insta if you want. I'll update. It's at Elizabeth Ayiku. And yeah, so just outlining my next thing. I don't know. Everyone's like, "What's next? When's your next thing dropping?" And I'm like, "Oh, I just finished this one. Like, I need some breathing room." So,
Yo, but like I think when you see such an interesting voice, you want to see what's next.
oh, thank you.
You
Thank
know
you.
what I mean? So it's
Oh,
just like,
yeah, like
yeah, I want to know what's next.
I'll keep folks updated. I'll be sure to. Thank you for saying that. That's a good reminder that people want to know what you're doing. They like your work.
Yeah.
Thank
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
you.
And
Um,
yeah, again, congratulations on such a great film. Like you got a great PR person in AJ to help, bring this to the world. So man, like everything seems to be going in the right direction for you, and I honestly cannot wait to see what you do next
oh,
because
thank you so much.
what you did with this was tremendous. The casts, everything, like, it was so good. So
Thank
yeah,
you.
I'm looking forward, and the door is open. So
Yes,
please come by.
yes, we'll talk about it. Yeah, please. The next thing, please. I'll be by for sure. Thank you so much.
Awesome. All right.
Great.
But I hope the rest of the day goes well and you have a great weekend and launch. So
Thank you.
all
Take care.
the best. All right. Take care.